Hey guys, welcome back to the show. It's Christine Jewell. Today, I got an interview for you guys, and I'm excited about it. I've got Chey Bowers on the line with me, and we're going to be talking about all kinds of things about chasing dreams, just being unapologetic about who you are, overcoming giants in your life. And I'm really excited to have her on. Cheyenne was born and raised in the small farm town of St. James, Minnesota, where only a few thousand people knew her name. Today, she is stepping into the spotlight as a professional fighter, competing in front of thousands live and millions watching on TV. In fact, we just watched her fight, which was Saturday night. Was it Saturday night?
Friday night.
Friday night. And I had the whole family in there, and it was awesome. Crushed it. I'll let her shoot the wins about that. But beyond the ring, Cheyenne's mission is to empower women to embrace strength and femininity, proving that they are powerful, fierce, and tough, and can exist alongside being attractive, confident, and unapologetically feminine. I love that. I love it. I love it because it's not this or that. It's both. So welcome to the show.
Thank you. Thank you so much for having me. I'm pumped to be here.
Yeah, me too. Which do you prefer, Chey or Cheyenne?
I'm fine with either. I typically feel like I'm getting yelled at by my mom when I hear my full name, but otherwise Chey or Chey is fine.
Hey, it's Christine. I'm interrupting our program for a minute to ask you a question. Could you use a breakthrough right now? What is the one area of your life that you know that if you had a breakthrough in this one area, if you broke through this wall of resistance, this challenge that you're facing, this mountain, that it would change the game for you in every other area of your life? Listen, if I'm talking to you right now, I want to let you know about a 30-day breakthrough coaching experience that I'm offering up for a limited time. It's where I'm going to work with 3 people very intimately, one-on-one. There's going to be daily touch points, daily action steps, and the opportunity to talk to me directly a couple times a week. And we're going to get to work on that one area of your life that is the domino that's going to knock down every other thing, that is just going to open the door. So here's who it's for. It's for those of you who are ready to roll up your sleeves, get to work. You want to execute at a high level. You want that person in your corner for support to call you out on the blind spots. It's also for those of you who don't want to deal with surface level fixes anymore. You want to get to the root of the problem. We're going to pluck the root out, and we are going to clear the path. It might be mental operating systems. It might be spiritual stuff going on. It might be as simple as getting into full decision and getting clear action steps. So if I'm talking to you right now and you are ready for a breakthrough, click on the link below. There's going to be a short application for you to fill out. Once our team receives that, if we think it's a fit, we're going to send you the offer with all the details, the pricing, the investment, and the clear next step. You guys, if the program's full, we'll drop you into the wait list. Again, if it's a fit, we'll let you know when a spot opens up. So if you are ready for a breakthrough in this season of life, click on the link, fill out the application. I'll see you on the other side. I want to jump in because we met you. We were hosting an event. We were hosting a Thriving Leader event. And as we always do with our events, we have a 6 a.m. boxing or some kind of fight gym workout just to rattle people, wake them up, shock them back to reality off the comfy couch. And Chey was one of our trainers. She was awesome. You never know you were such a fierce warrior in the ring because you were so sweet and awesome and gentle with the group. But man, she's a beast also. So it's like strength and grace.
Yes.
Together. Anyways, strength and grace. So let's just jump in. I'd love to just share. First of all, tell us, I want you to celebrate your big latest accomplishment. Go ahead and share and celebrate with us.
I had over a dozen girls say no over the course of the summer. And then my opponent, she said no. A couple weeks went by. She was like, okay, I can't find anybody else. So she finally said yes. We're both 6-2 coming into the fight. And so we're both right on the cusp of getting into the major leagues, whether that be UFC or PFL. And so this was my contender series fight, or in it to make it to the next level. Felt really good. Felt like I finally belonged to be in the spotlight, and just believed in my training and my confidence and got the first round submission. So other than a black eye, came out unscathed.
Yeah, you did. That was good. I'm just curious why. I don't follow fighting that often, to be honest. But why did they say no?
No.
You're trying to people are trying to find someone they feel confident they can beat, obviously. What was with all the no's?
There's a few reasons, I guess. The most common ones is maybe the date of the fight just doesn't work for them or their team. Like me, my coaches, there's about 25 athletes here, so they might already have obligations to other fighters. But typically it just comes down to other girls are like, yeah, the risk versus reward isn't there. They don't want to risk their really good record on somebody that they don't think they could beat or vice versa. So a lot of no's from that. I had a girl that was in the UFC and she just left there and she said no to me as well. So I was like, if girls from the major leagues don't want to fight me, that's a good sign. But
that's a good sign.
Yeah, just happy that Maritza finally said yes and we were both able to get in the octagon on Friday.
Yeah. And I heard your comment, if the UFC doesn't call me up now.
Yeah. Yeah, I wanted
right?
to say it a little less like but it's still, unfortunately, a little bit of a man's world in the martial arts realm. So a little bit held it in.
That's all right. That's good. Okay, let's share a little bit of your backstory because obviously you've only been fighting for a few years, right? Can you share a little bit? Like what got you into this space anyways? This is not like the typical space where most of your women hang out.
Yeah. I've been an athlete my whole life. I played basketball, ran cross country and track in high school. And then I ran cross country and track for South Dakota State University while I was there getting my bachelor's. The biggest thing for me was like the transition from running to fighting seems very distant, but I grew up around a lot of violence. Not necessarily targeted at me, but I witnessed a lot of it. I was always that kid, like just around the corner watching everything. So I witnessed a lot of it. And I do think I have a little bit of that in me burrowed down. And so when I made the shift to fighting, it felt really natural. This was my way of like my shadow work, right? Letting that darkness come out a little bit, facing it head on versus trying to bury it down and waiting for it to explode on an innocent person. So, yeah, I've always been an athlete, and my husband, he actually was the one that kind of was like, hey, when you go out on these long runs and I don't hear from you for hours, he's like, I get never worried that even if you just fell, he's like, it doesn't have to be something sinister, but something could happen. And I just want you to be safe. So I started grappling and doing jujitsu for self-defense. And my coach here, Bruce, he was like, you're really good. Like, you're just naturally really good at this. He's, I think you should try competing, and just snowballed from there. After my first fight, Ross, my husband, he was like, yeah, I knew it wasn't going to be just one. I knew we were going all in, and here we are 7-2 as a pro now.
Wow. There you go. There you go. I used to be a runner too. I don't know if that transition would have been so smooth for me, but I do understand needing a healthy outlet to get a lot of the suppressed, repressed stuff that has been stacking for decades, probably, or years. And I think, honestly, I want to tap into that for a second, because I think that, especially in the work that I do, I work with so many people who are still, it's coming out in unhealthy ways, right? It's getting expressed, the crap from the past or whatever, but it's just, now it's self-destructive. So can you talk a little bit more about that? I don't necessarily have a specific question, but obviously I think as an athlete, we naturally know, man, it feels so good after I run or after I do the thing, I physically feel different. But yeah, can you share a little bit more about, you said it was a little bit of your shadow work and a way to express what was going on with you. Can you share a little bit more about that?
Yeah, I actually work with a sports psychologist, and she's just my therapist for everything at this point. But when I started dabbling with that stuff with her, we figured out that there's typically the fight, flight, or freeze mechanisms that people respond with when they're in traumatic moments. And I have fight or freeze. No flight. I don't run away from stuff, but I either would shut down and just try to get as small as possible, hide, that type of stuff, or I'm going to fight back. And when you're a small child, you're like, fighting doesn't help me. So I had gotten them to, all right, I just need to shut down. If I don't say anything, if I don't push any buttons, if I stay small, nobody will hurt me. Nobody will get mad at me. And so I did that for years, for decades. I ultimately ended up having an eating disorder because of that same philosophy. Is if I just continue to make myself smaller, continue to fit these society standards, nobody can get mad at me. I can stay safe and all that type of stuff. And then with that, I quickly realized I had a lot of anger issues because I had no way of actually letting that out. And running was my way of doing that for a little bit. I would just run until I wasn't angry anymore. But eventually you only can get so many miles in before your body's, I am tired. That is more of where that shadow work started, was figuring out, oh, this is my body's response naturally. How can I give it a better outlet? So it's been interesting to figure out what I need day to day too. Some days I come in and I know I'm going to practice and I'm going to be the nail. I'm going to get beat up. I'm going to probably leave crying, and that's okay. Those are the days where I know I'm more naturally just more prone to be in that small kind of huddled state. And then there's days where I come in, I'm like, nope, I'm beating all of you. And I think it's the healthy balance that kind of keeps me tiptoeing that line.
What is the fuel that drives you?
For me, it's pushing my potential. How much am I actually capable of? And the biggest thing is conquering fears. People always think fighters are these super tough, like nothing makes them afraid. But walking out to the cage, that's all you feel is, holy crap, I'm about to go get into a fist fight with another human being. And there's the saying that you can't have bravery without fear, or they feel the same. And so for me, being able to let's go see how brave I can be, how courageous I can be. Ross always reminds me, he's like, for 15 minutes, you get to go be Superwoman, right? You get to save everybody, however you want to view it, but I get to go challenge my bravery and see how much of it I have. And that to me is what really drives me when I'm walking out to the cage. But in general, just pushing my boundaries, seeing what my potential can be, reaching new goals. I have financial goals. I have trophies and belts that I want to win and the material type stuff too. But at the end of the day, it's just how great can I be?
I agree, because that's something I say all the time. We hear these faith over fear and faith in the courage in the face of fear. And let's be honest, we live in a society that is very comfortable. It's very easy to be just comfortable with everything, right? Like, we're the richest nation and we're the most depressed. We're the most mentally ill and we have everything we want at our fingertips. And I'm a big advocate of this. We need to do one thing that scares us or inspires us or gets us out of our comfort zone every day. I believe that we're created to live outside of our comfort zone. But for somebody that maybe is just, a little bit numbed out, maybe just going through the motions a little bit too comfy and knows it, but also is, I'm not getting in a ring.
What?
I'm not getting in a ring. But what do we say to that? What do you say to that person that's, man, they know they need to do something different. They're pretty comfortable. They're pretty sedated. It doesn't mean you're doing drugs or whatever. It's just you're sedated with the comforts of life. And they're getting flat. They're getting to the place where they're losing their passion. You know how it goes. Everything starts to feel a little bit numb when you live in that place for too long. What do you say to somebody like that to get them out of that place or to mobilize them? This is always the challenge of every coach too, right?
Yes. I was a personal
trainer. What
trainer.
Do you do with that person?
Yeah. My background is exercise science and personal training and strength and conditioning. And so I did a lot of coaching before I ever even got into the fighting and coaching martial arts and stuff. And I always would try to bring people back. I'm like, what would 10-year-old you do today? If you just had a summer break day again, what would 10-year-old you do? Most people that I would be talking to are going to be 30s, 40s, 50s, 60s, somewhere in there. So it's not like asking a 10-year-old now where it's I play video games, but most of them were going out and riding bikes or playing with their friends or doing things like that. I'm like, so go do those things. Reconnect with that younger version of yourself. The greatest moment of my life was when I realized one day I was doing all of the things that preteen me loved to do. And I did it without feeling ashamed or embarrassed. Because when I was a kid, I was like, oh, so-and-so doesn't do that. So I shouldn't do it because I got to fit in. Now I can do those things without anybody saying that. And it just makes me feel more authentic. And when you feel more authentic in your own skin, you have more bravery naturally. So then you are going to step outside of that comfort zone. So I always try to tell people, reconnect with the things you used to love as a kid. Start there, and then that's going to make you feel stronger in your own skin. And then we can start branching out into areas that might be new and scary.
Yeah, no, I love that. And as you were talking about it, it reminds me like we just need more play. We get so heavy, we get so serious, and we forget. And I'm just going to say this too. You're from the Midwest. And I hear this a lot from people from the Midwest, so that especially the farm kids, they didn't really get a chance to play that much because it was always like, you got to be working, you got to be working, you got to be. And it's like, yes. And so if you never had the opportunity, now's your chance to go and try to do some of that stuff. I know what is your core message? Like, obviously we've talked about this before. We were talking a lot about chasing your dreams. Obviously right now you have a dream to be in the UFC, right? First of all, share with us, what is your big dream?
Yeah, to be a UFC world champion. I want to, on the materialistic side, I want to bring home a belt, multiple belts if I can defend it. And financially, my goal is to get to the point where my husband can choose what to do with what he wants to do with his day. He's also not somebody to just stay at home, but I want to give him the option of, if you want to go start a dog rescue, if you want to go work with kids, like, you can do whatever you want to do. That's my financial goal, is to get to that point. And then all the belts. And then more on what's on my heart is I really want to show women, especially, like, you can march into these male dominated rooms and own your seat at the table. It doesn't matter if you have pink shoes on, if your hair is braided, if your hair is shaved, if you have a full face of makeup or no makeup, like, it does not matter. You can go own that seat, because I have to do that every single day at the gym. And now I've gotten to the point where people move out of the way on the mats when I walk into the room. And there's ways to do it respectfully and in a feminine manner and all this stuff. So just really owning your own strength in those male dominated rooms and telling them who's there, who's the boss.
I want to unpack this more, because this is such a huge thing. I come from the high performance world. I also, as an athlete, I've been in the business, the marketplace, and it doesn't matter what industry, whether it's, obviously you're in the fight industry, but then we have people that we coach that are in ag and corporate America and tech. And it doesn't matter. Everyone really says the same thing. It's male dominated, unless it's like fashion or something, which I don't have any clients in that area, but maybe that is too. The reality is a lot of the industries, a lot of these camps have been male dominated for a long time. And I believe it's not about going in and competing with them. I'm curious your ideas around this. I think that there's been a movement of go in and kick the guys out and take over. And it's like, I don't think that's right either. We both have really powerful ways to lead together, to lean on each other. And I think a room full of just men trying to lead is a bad idea. And I think a room full of just women is not a great idea either. It's like, how do we step up and do this powerfully together so that it actually creates an even greater impact, a greater ripple effect? But I would love for you to unpack a little bit about okay, I'm listening to a woman. I'm thinking, right, okay, yeah, how do I go into a room with a bunch of guys who think that they know everything and they're the experts on everything and they have been taught maybe not to respect women or whatever, without going into that place of competition and trying to compete with them, unless maybe that's your stick. But how do we earn the respect of the room? Or do we?
Yeah. My husband and I were very much deep thinkers. And so we've had these conversations just late at night. Yeah. And he has told me, he's like, remember that all of those big men, when I've walked into interview or media days with fight stuff, he's like, all of those big burly guys were once little boys. They were once 5-year-old little boys. And they have the same emotions that those 5-year-old little boys did. And he was like, women are way more emotionally in tune with what's happening in the room, being able to read people, being empaths, all that type of stuff. He's like, use that to your advantage, right? If you can tell that somebody is uncomfortable or angry, like, how can you diffuse that situation? If you can get people to feel a certain way, you can usually start to help them think a certain way. And so I don't try to beat them with logic. And typically,
amen, girl, amen.
So I usually try to I play off the heart, and I try to make them connect to something, a message that they can truly feel in their own hearts, whether that's trying to get them to relate to, maybe they have a daughter or a wife or a mother, whatever it may be, getting them to see the side a little bit differently. And then they're like, oh, okay, like I can understand that perspective now a little bit better. And then they start to open up. Once they start to open up and they can really view what you have from a professional standpoint, it makes it so much easier to own that chair.
I love that you took that angle. I wasn't sure where you were going to go with it, but I was like, yes, because I talk to so many women. They're like, I can't show emotion. I have to be logical and I got to meet them where they're at that way. And I'm like, girl, that's not how you move them. I have a saying that's like, a queen's whisper can mobilize an army. You just have to know the right thing to whisper to. And it's speaking to the heart. And a queen's whisper can mobilize an army. I don't have to fight the whole army, but I need to be wise in the words that I'm speaking. And it's such a superpower. Yes. So I love that you talked about, it's like an arrow to the heart. Like once you get the heart, then you get the man. Like you get the head.
Yeah.
Right?
Exactly. I love it.
Essentially. And I love what you said too, is once you can get them to feel a certain way, you get them to think a certain way, and now they can see what they couldn't see, or at least they're maybe open to hearing something different or seeing something different. Essentially what you're saying is take down the walls. Get their walls down.
Yes, exactly. My husband, he's a shorter guy, and so he spent a lot of his life making fun of himself, using emotion and laughter to get himself in the room. And so he was actually the one that kind of was like, hey, like, you don't have to try to outthink these guys or out logic or out data or whatever it is. It's a play off of something you have already. So it's funny that I learned how to break down that wall of men from a man. But it is cool.
Yeah, of course. I think too, like the work that I do is how to reach a woman. And it helps to understand and learn it from a woman because we could show insight into the other world. So yes. I think that's cool. I have to ask also, just obviously it's not every man that's married to a woman that's a fighter. So can you shift? What are the marriage dynamics like?
Yeah, it's funny because
how do you shift roles?
Yeah, no, I would say because of my work schedule per se, I do feel like I play more of a traditional wife role. I do all the cooking and cleaning and laundry and stuff. And it's just because I'm home more. It's not that he doesn't pitch in. If he's home, he does that stuff too. It's just, my schedule is a couple hours here and then a couple hour break and then a couple hours here, a couple hour break. So I just have the flexibility to do those things. And then on top of that, we just view it as a trade-off. Like he's working 10, 12-hour days. And since I'm working like 4 to 5 hour days with fighting, it just makes sense that I pitch in and make life a little bit easier for when he gets home. On the outside, it definitely looks like I'm a stay-at-home wife that just gets punched in the face for fun.
So I want to go back real quick because I thought that was so cool what we were talking about, just how to influence rooms, how to create greater impact, and also how to build confidence. Obviously, you have to have a lot of confidence to step out on that ring. You just have to have a lot of confidence. Can you talk about just your confidence building practices? Obviously, yes, the more skill you develop, the more confident you get. But are there other things that you do to just build your confidence to come back to that? Because, I mean, you are human. We all struggle with it. I'm sure we all have days, right? Where it's like, I'm crushing it today. And other days you're like, things are working. At least I do. So what would you say to someone that's like really struggling with confidence? And because get this all the time. And we think the further up the ladder people go, whether it's sports, whether it's business, it doesn't matter. I've noticed that oftentimes they present with more confidence, but oftentimes the imposter syndrome or thing is even stronger, right? The self-doubt starts to creep in. It's like the war is raging even more, right? We think it's going to go away. But talk to me a little bit about just confidence building, your confidence building practices for yourself.
So going back, like you said, preparation is the biggest key. Knowing that I've done everything in my power to prepare for the fight is the big one. And then just reminding myself too, like I have overcome much scarier obstacles. I overcame an eating disorder. We got out of a domestic situation, like so many things that are much scarier than a sport. And I've conquered those. Those are the big reminders. And then I do have some affirmations that I'll speak to myself. I always remind myself that I'm calm, I'm confident, and I'm comfortable in chaos. And I don't know if that's just because my childhood was so chaotic and that's just what I've gotten used to. but that is the fight, right? Fights are chaotic. There's no predictability. And just knowing I'm adaptable, I can overcome and figure this out as I go through this chaos. I don't need to try to stop it. I just need to move with it and then come out the other side. So I'm usually repeating that on like over and over again. I'm calm, I'm confident, I'm comfortable in chaos while we're warming up and stuff like that. And then right before we were about to walk out to the cage, Ross will give me a hug and he'll kind of say like, goodbye, wife Cheyenne, hello, fighter Cheyenne. Because he kind of knows I kind of flip a switch almost and leave that part of me back and then let that darkness out, that shadow come out a little bit. And it's almost like putting a cloak on. It's like comforting. But yeah, those are my biggest ones. And then, yeah, I think just reminding yourself, like you've overcome harder things, scarier things, more traumatic things. And the people that love me and support me on this endeavor are going to be there tomorrow, regardless of the outcome. And that's really helped me too, is knowing that it doesn't matter if I win or lose, like the people that matter will still be there.
So good. So one of the most powerful things I do is I just keep a list of all the giants I've slayed in my life too, and battles I've overcome already, and just being able to remember, because man, we forget all the stuff we've already gone through. And so it's such a powerful exercise to do that. And I love the transition in the coaching world. We call it just having like practice of transitioning from one role or personality to the other. And I think that's so important because it's so simple, but so many people don't do it. Everything is just run. We go to work, we go home, we do this. And even though you're the same person, there are different parts of us that show up in different areas. And so I'm just curious, when you're in the ring and you're fighting, are you fighting someone or something? Do you know what I'm saying? Are you, what do you like? You know what I'm saying? Okay. Yeah.
Yep. We actually had that conversation, Bruce and I did. It's definitely more of a thing. I feel like I'm fighting my own fear, my own darkness, my own insecurities. They just happen to be in the shape of another human. Because as soon as the ref stops the fight, I jump up. I'm all excited, especially when you win and all that stuff. But it's like that switch flips back the other way. And all of a sudden I'm like, oh yeah, like she's a human. I hope you go home and have safe travels. I hope you go home to your family healthy. I don't want you to be injured long-term or anything like that. Because at the end of the day, we are just doing this as a sport, right? I don't want to interrupt her well-being or change the likelihood of her life. It's fighting something versus someone. And then once that switch flips again, we're just two girls that are chasing dreams. And I hope she has success in the future as well.
So good. What about after you get the UFC World Championship? Then what?
We're definitely fighting the best in the world, but we'll see. I've won one world title and still a little in disbelief that happened. But yeah, winning the UFC belt would be obviously check off a box on my goal list, but just life altering as well, putting myself in history books and chasing greatness and getting to do it with three people that I love the most, like my chosen family. So yeah, when the day comes, make it happen and remember it forever.
Yeah, so good. I always ask people that, what's the vision beyond the vision? Because I've been an athlete, I've gotten injured in the past. I'm not wishing that upon anyone. When all of a sudden you're not doing the thing anymore, if you've accomplished the thing, don't stop dreaming. Like we got to there's always something else. Like we're created to be creators. And just keep going. I do want to just tap into one more thing that I know you talked about when we came to the gym. And that was the power of community. And just even regardless of whether you're fighting or whatever, I know you said, I remember you saying, this is more my home than my actual house is or whatever. And it's so important because again, I said it earlier, we live in the wealthiest country. We're the most spiritually and relationally poor. We're the most anxious, medicated group of people. We have more access to people, to communication, and we're the most isolated. So can you just talk about the power of community and what that has done for you? And also just what you see it doing in the lives of the people that you're working with, like just everyday people that are coming in?
Yeah, my team is very much my chosen family, and my two coaches, or my two main coaches, Bruce Hoyer and Ian Ritchie, they very much have gone from just coaches and mentors to being friends to now they're basically like a set of parents in their own way, but they love me just as much as they love the rest of the team. But it is a special bond. And then with all of my teammates, I think the coolest thing is that on Mondays and Wednesdays, I train jujitsu with a bunch of dads that are in their 40s and 50s. And I'm very much like their stepchild. And so they're all excited and they're making sure I'm healthy. Are you getting your food? Or, like, what do you need? And then at night, I'm training with all of my teammates that are like in their early 20s. And I'm very much the older sister that's taking care of them. So it's just cool how we have this family tree of everybody checking in on each other. And that's my favorite part of Next Edge in general, is that we all check in. We all have this extended family that we can use to rely on. And not that my blood family is phenomenal. Don't get me wrong there, but I live far away from them, so I don't get to see them often. So having this community to keep me accountable, keep me healthy and happy is crucial. And one of my very best friends, I met her right before I started training. And she actually started training afterwards. I had moved to Seattle for a very short period of time. And I had told her at that time, I was like, hey, we've been friends for 3 months, but if you want to get out of here and you want to move with me, like, you can do that. And she didn't, but she was like, I remembered you saying that. And when I finally moved back and we reconnected, she was like, I had never forgot you because of that one thing you said. And now we've been best friends for 7 years. So just little things like that too can make such an impact on people. And I feel like that's what's happening at our gym. And so, just community is everything. And whether that's the true definition of community, or if it's your team, or if it's just your coworkers that check in on you, like, having your people is just the key to success and happiness in life.
I love how you said your chosen family.
Yeah.
Because some people have really dysfunctional family. And I'm a big advocate of, hey, heal the family stuff, because that stuff will haunt you forever. Heal it, get over it. And also, we can build amazing community. We just moved to North Carolina a few years ago. So we're still getting our feet in the local community and trying to figure out who our people are and everything here. But I know, like, Mark and I talk about all the time. Like, we love it. We have people all over the country that we're connected to. Tons of people, even our team is spread out all over the country. So we're just like, we crave like local, people we can touch and feel and hug and like just hang out with. And obviously now we have our house as like a community because we got all our kids home and my mom lives with us, but it's funny. But my son has gotten into jujitsu at the local gym and he's developing a community there, which is super cool. He loves it and just says like the camaraderie and the atmosphere. So great. And again, same thing. He's like rolling with a bunch of 40-year-old guys and he's 20, but he loves that. So it's super cool. And our 9-year-old just started last week too. So
very cool. That's so awesome.
Yeah. It's again, like the older one influenced the younger one. The younger one's just kind of watching. What are you doing? And it's not about what mom and dad say. He's just looking at his older brother and it's really cool. And what is he doing? And I want to be able to do that with him or whatever. So it's super fun, super awesome. Before we hop, I do want to just touch on this because I did not go rolling or go to jiu-jitsu, but I did go to gun safety class this weekend and I went to go shoot and just get some gun safety lessons out. And I was like, there's so much fear around things like fighting or guns or whatever it is. And rightfully, because a lot of things can be used as weapons. But I think like just from me going and getting educated, and I've shot guns before, but this wasn't just go shoot guns at an open field or have somebody give you guns and have fun. It was actually like somebody that is a professional that is teaching gun safety on all types of guns and how to load and unload and what to look for. And I felt so empowered afterwards and so much more confident and so much more at ease because I keep saying, even Mark, he's got guns in the house. I'm like, we all need to make sure that everybody's educated on this. And as Grayson has been in martial arts, Mom, you need to come to the self-defense classes. And I actually think that I need to go with my daughters too, because especially with the world that we live in, but that's not new. That's been going on since the beginning of time. But what would you say to the women out there that like maybe are walking around fearful and just because feel like we have this negative connotation sometimes to all the self-defense stuff or it's not for us or I don't know.
Yeah, there's a quote, and I'm probably going to butcher it, but it's better to be a warrior in a garden than a gardener in a war. And I very much believe that. And so if there's one thing that's changed since I've started training, it's that I'm more aware of my surroundings. Like I pick up on red flags or my gut instinct far sooner than I used to, so I can remove myself from situations that I think are going to be potentially dangerous. I walk down the street more confident, obviously, just because I know if push comes to shove, I do have those skills in my back pocket. But at the end of the day, if something were to happen, like you were just saying, there's so many different ways to use things as weapons. I'm running. At the first sign of conflict, I am running. I'm not getting involved. Even as a fighter who enjoys fighting, I don't want to take that. I don't want to fight on concrete. I don't want to fight by a car. I don't want to deal with guns or knives. Like I'm out. But I do think learning some sort of self-defense is crucial. And I feel like where people, especially women, tend to get it wrong is they go to a weekend self-defense boot camp and they're like, all right, I'm set. And I was like, how much are you going to remember in 2 months? Nothing. So I'm actually starting a women's self-defense program here in Sioux Falls, and it'll be weekly on Saturday mornings. And it's going to be using true martial arts techniques. So the same techniques that I use in the cage to fight my opponents, you'll be learning those same types of things, just on a less scary scale, and doing it around other women that are learning this. And we're already booked for the first day, which is October 4th. I have 20 women signed up for the class. So I'm super pumped. And I just want to get more women in Sioux Falls and the surrounding communities to start learning things, feel a little bit more confident walking down the street, and hopefully feel safer in their homes.
That's great. I'm definitely going to do it, especially since, yes, the world we live in. And I have girls that we have a 16-year-old, 18-year-old soon, 20-year-old, and like they're out there. And I remember even the world, I'm not saying this to scare anyone, it's to be aware, not afraid. But we live very close to Charlotte where that stabbing just happened. I remember being in high school and our soccer team goalie got raped in her own driveway, in her own driveway, coming home. And so it's, as with anything, I think I love going back to your thing of facing the fears. If there's anything that we're afraid of, it owns us. We're in bondage to it. And so how do we overcome our fears is we've got to press in. We've got to get educated. Some people are afraid to look at their numbers, right? So they avoid money like the plague and they're in debt. So it's just whatever the thing is. It doesn't have to be a person. It doesn't have to be, it can literally be an idea that you are just meditating on in your head. Is face that, lean into it, get educated. And it really starts to change shape. So I love that. Yeah. Okay, before we hop, any final words before we obviously tell people how they can follow you and track with you? But is there anything else that I always say, if you were able to just leave one word of wisdom, one chip that you could implant into people and they'd be like, man, greatest piece of wisdom I ever heard was from Chey. What is the thing you want people to remember?
Oh man, especially with overcoming fears. I tell all our kids at kids class, the only way out is through. Like you were just saying, lean in. The only way out is through. You got to dig deep, find the root of the cause, and come out the other side a brighter and better human.
Amen to that. All right. So how can people find you if they want to follow, support?
Yeah, I'm usually on Instagram at Chey.Bowers. You can find me on there. I'm on Facebook as well. Same thing, Chey Bowers. I'm not on X anymore since that switched over. It used to be Twitter or whatever it is now. But hit me up on social media. Otherwise, if you're in the Sioux Falls area, you can always stop by Next Edge.
It's a great gym. It's a great gym. We had lots of fun. Thank you so much for being here. Thanks, guys, for tuning in, listening to the show. As always, if you got something out of today, make sure you subscribe, follow, and share. Pass this on. Somebody else needs the same message today. This is how we spread these messages, one person at a time. We'll see you guys next week. Bye for now.